Hello, welcome. My name is Eric Leo, and this is my take on gender equality as a social psychologist. Graduated top of my class. To properly show the subject of gender equality, I referenced the six next Netflix documentaries Gender Revolution, The Hunting Ground, Seeing All Red, Tricked, Misrepresentation, and the Why Women Are Paid Less episode of Explained. I have also linked and discussed related videos from Ellen, He for She, TED, Jordan Peterson, the World Bank, and the UN. To understand the enormity and importance of gender equality, I've divided the huge issue into 6 categories, including LGBTQ, phobic, sexual, mental, feminist, and economic gender equality. LGBTQ. When people think of gender equality, they think of gays and women's rights, but it's much more expansive than that. As Katie Couric explores in Gender Revolution, there are 2 sexes but many genders. Your external genitalia doesn't identify your gender. Sex is dictated by your genitals. Your gender is how you identify yourself. I have linked a CBS article listing many of the types of genders. For example, I'm cisgender, meaning I'm the gender I was assigned to at birth. Gingerbread person consists of gender identity, gender expression, and biological sex. Gender is who you go to bed as. Sexual orientation is who you go to bed with. A large issue with gender equality is equal use of restrooms. The documentary is mainly about gender reassignment surgery when children are born intersex. Androgen complications can result in intersex. Your brain plays a large part in gender identity and develops in the womb. Many individuals with androgen complications experience gender dysphoria. Phobic gender equality. LGBTQ is synonymous with empowerment against homophobia, transphobia, and other phobic reactions to an individual's gender or sexual orientation. Gay marriage may be legal in America now, but there is the death penalty for being gay in other countries. Still, America has a very serious issue with the treatment of LGBTQ because the unemployment rate of transgenders is double than average, and it's 4 times if you're also a minority. On her recent visit to Ellen Page talks about how 40% of homeless youth are LGBTQ. Sexual gender equality. Much of gender equality is sexual. Women's empowerment is the protection and repercussions from sexual assault. To help women fight in the struggle for sexual gender equality and equality in the workplace, there is the Time's Up movement, which is a legal defense fund. This is only part of the strategy that needs to be adopted for women to have equal rights in society. As will be discussed, women need to be painted better in the media, not just as sex objects or mothers, as you will read later. The documentary The Hunting Ground portrays sexual assault at colleges across the United States as an epidemic. More than 16% of college women are sexually assaulted in college. This is lowballing considering 88% of women who are sexually assaulted on campus do not report it. Collegiate institutions don't like to report sexual assault due to repercussions. In 2012, 45% of colleges reported 0 sexual assaults. Less than 1% of sexual assaults reports lead to expulsion. This is troublesome because less than 8% of men in college commit more than 90% of sexual assaults. It seems that colleges could do more for their students by taking a hard line against sexual assault and expelling a larger percentage of those sexual assaults. The problem is sexual aggression is rewarded in fraternities. The second most common insurance claim in the fraternity industry is sexual assault. Colleges don't want to regulate fraternities because the social and financial repercussions. Many sexual assaults come from athletes, which are protected because of the obvious surrounding popularity and economic motivations. Power struggle. Personally, when I visited my friends at MSU while I was in college, I was warned about how they have a rape trail. This is misleading because you're more likely to get sexually assaulted by someone you know, not abducted walking home. As explored in The Hunting Ground, many victims don't want to admit to being victims. They don't tell anyone and fear the inevitable social stigma and repercussions. As portrayed in the documentary, when victimized by sexual assault, the girl didn't fight back. Understanding this paragraph can help you from being victimized because rape isn't about sex, it's about power. 90% of rapes happen to women, and of those 10% that happen to men, 90% are perpetrated by other men. This means that rape is a women's issue and men are the problem. They don't talk about this in the documentary, but sexual assaulters go for easy targets. They go for the victim that won't fight back. If you want to prevent yourself from being sexually assaulted, walk with purpose, look and talk formidable, and fight back. Monkey see, monkey do. We can learn a lot about human nature by taking an evolutionary psychology approach. Through human history, men have dominated and women have consistently been controlled by men through force. It's the old saying where the wedding ring came from. The caveman would find a mate and force her to stay. If she ran away, he would track her down, tie her up, beat her, and bring her back. He would then take a string and tie it around what he chose to be his wife's marriage finger. As a reminder, if she ran away again, he would do it again. This says everything about human courting, mating, and procreation rituals through our evolutionary history. We can learn a lot as well by looking at apes and bonobos. Apes are rather vicious in procreating. A group of men will corner a female and beat her until she submits to sex. On the other hand, bonobos resolve their conflicts with sex. There seems to be a fine line with the propensity for both traits in humans, and it comes from our genetic past. It seems humans have both the propensity to love and dominate through sexuality, evolve. The point is that there's a very real propensity that women's complacency and men's domination is more or less hardwired into the human brain. If I were an alien race observing humans, given the evolution of humans, I can't help but think women are genetically prone to sexual assault. The woman encounters a man, the man rapes her, she gives birth to offspring that are more likely to repeat the same behavior until it's hardwired through genetic selection. Meaning sexual domination has been a part of human evolution, and a college fraternity encourages and enables men to seek sexual satisfaction from women regardless of their consent, like our ancestors. Fraternities are enabling the primitive brain and encouraging our genetic predisposition to seek procreation at the expense of women's health. For being academic institutions, they aren't smart about preventing men's propensity for sexual satisfaction through assault. To put it simply, fraternities enable the evolutionary desire to seek sexual satisfaction by any means. As a preventative measure, colleges could require a course for men about sexual assault that breaks down the social dynamics of men's cognition and aggressive behavior against women, especially in groups like fraternities, in an effort to reduce men's tendency for domination through sexual assault. They should be taught that consent is sexy. If we are to evolve into a better, more sentient species, violence against women cannot be tolerated. If women are serious about feminist ideals of power, they need to selectively breed men that are hardwired like bonobos and not apes. In this perspective, abortion from rape should be required. Tricked. Humans' abusive sexual treatment towards women and bred complacency is no more self-evident than in prostitution in America. In America, prostitution is illegal, so there's an illicit black market. The way we deal with the ubiquitous universality of prostitution is by criminalizing it. We criminalize human nature. It's very similar to the war on drugs, where illicit prostitution is the war on pussy. All you need to do in order to make prostitution legal is film it. Then it's porn. Pimps go for the weak and vulnerable. As the title of Trick suggests, the goal of the pimp is to rule the woman's mind. Keep that in mind when discussing the mental gender equality below. It seems most get trapped and don't want to get hurt or die. If it were me, or what I assume most men, I would rather die. It's as Julius Caesar said, I would rather die once and live my life free than die every day thinking about death. Pimping is all driven by money. If you take away the money, you take away the motivation. This is why I support legal brothels. The current model depends on pimps that have no competition, don't pay taxes or payroll, and are violent against women. How is that capitalism? The situation is even worse because there are no programs for prostitution or prostituted women that want to be rehabilitated. In America, we need systems in place that help protect from our barbaric ancestry. In this perspective, legal brothels are female empowerment where women are sex workers in an industry that is legal, regulated, taxed, and safe as possible. Mental gender equality. As you can see by watching the beginning of Seeing All Red, most women are ruled over mentally. It's just less extreme at a societal level, and we've been socialized not to see it. We call this mind-controlled gender roles. These gender roles and social norms are observed and adhered to through the media, which is what the documentary Misrepresentation is about. Marketers are dictating our cultural norms and values made possible by relaxed advertising laws. The social pressures through the media are so powerful, women don't have the mental fortitude to not conform. This is nowhere more self-evident than in the classroom when it comes to women in math. Historically, women have been told that they are not good at math, but that's exactly why they are not good at math. If you want to improve your test scores, change your attitude. Those who have more confidence do better on tests. Through the constant barrage of people in the media telling women they are bad at math, is what makes it come true. Like much of life, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Due to the way we treat women, women do much better on math tests in an all-girls setting. Having men present will lower their scores. I make a point to tell women with conviction women are better at math than men, just watch Hidden Figures. The American Mirror mental disease. Women are not properly represented in the media. Only 16% of movies have the woman as a protagonist, let alone a role of self-fulfillment through personal achievement rather than romantic. Misrepresentation makes a good point about the American Mirror mental disease and how there isn't a proper reflection for girls, which has lasting, resounding effects throughout society. In layman terms, it's put best by Jane Fonda when she says media creates consciousness, and if that is determined by men, we are not going to make any progress. The way we treat women in the media prevents them from holding political positions. If we watch the media for a day, it's easy to see that it's portrayed that a woman's worth is in how she looks. Misrepresentation shows the pressure for women to conform to the male-dominated standard of beauty in the media. Women are measuring themselves to an impossible standard. Not only are the most attractive females displayed, but they are digitally enhanced by Photoshop and the like. Women are spending more money on beauty than education, which is disempowering them. Due to the reflection they see in the media, and told throughout society, women see themselves as objects. The objectification of women leads to violence. In Defense of Men, Emma Watson talks about how men can't be vulnerable, which leads them to conform to the mistreatment of women in the media. To be fair, I've seen American Playboy, and Playboy's premise became that ordinary girls, the girls next door, are beautiful. Just as with anything in life, men aren't affected by those unfair gender roles, so they don't change it in the media, which is why I suggest women create events in society that highlight how important a woman's role in society is, regardless of her sexual appeal. Feminist gender equality. A great example of such a display is how decades ago Iceland women staged a walkout on their families and economy, and it resulted in Iceland having some of the highest measures in gender equality today. Feminists should be taking this lesson in history very seriously. It is imperative women find their worth and value internally. Feminism is about power and freedom, specifically equal power to men and freedom from their tyranny of gender roles. He for she is a leading voice for women's empowerment around the world. If women want empowerment, they have to control fertility, control how they see themselves, and control their economic future and prosperity. The previous problems would all change if women would vote female. If all females only voted female, everything would change from reproductive rights to what was allowed in the media. The happiest countries are more equal, and it just makes sense. Feminism will make men free. Women are the nurturers and historically have raised the children, so their well-being improves the nuclear family. The more money a woman has, the more she can and does spend on the family. Economic gender equality. As Jordan talks about in the linked clip, if women receive rights, then economic prosperity follows. This is confirmed by Michael Kimmel's TED Talk, which shows gender equality is in the interest of countries, companies, and men. It's a win-win for everyone. As discussed in the Why Women Are Paid Less episode of the next Netflix docu-series Explained, the wage gap is more of a family issue than a female issue. The pay gap has everything to do with being a mom and having the responsibilities of parenting fall on the female. The pay gap is really between women with children and everybody else. Sustainable development has everything to do with gender equality. It is the UN Sustainable Development Goal number 5. Economic gender equality has to do with national policy. As shown in the graph from the linked World Bank video about how gender equality is smart economics, poverty decreases as gender equality increases. Giving women loans and land is an example of how society can help the economy. Restricting economic development reduces the welfare of families. As discussed in the linked UN expert video, there is a UN goal to take the international community to achieving gender equality and women's empowerment by 2030 for all women and girls. Thanks for reading. You can support at lyceumrecords.com. The Chalice mixtape is for Emma Watson, inspired by Taylor Swift, so 3 songs are about the subject of gender equality. That's why this featured piece of artistry is the Chalice mixtape, specifically the songs Say You Love Me, What You Frontin' For, and John Wick. Say You Love Me is about confronting homophobia in hip-hop. What You Frontin' For is about a scientific experiment about homophobia, and John Wick is about human trafficking and supporting legal brothels. You can find my music career at ericleo108.org. Philosophies.com. The featured Philosophies shirt is the Busy Bee shirt. The shirt says you are loyal to the queen and are busy helping the hive. Hope you found this interesting. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of my family. You're awesome. I love you very much. And until next time, you take care, all right?